You strike me as the kind of person, and this is not an inauthentic blowing smoke up the you know what, but really you strike me as the kind of person that has command over this. I mean, this is what you did your thesis, your studies in, and this is your profession. But for us mere mortals, for me, training my brain was reading Shakespeare and learning how to speak Spanish or solving problems in the middle of a tennis match. And for those 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago, and even further in the past, there wasn't this matter of fact, conscious need, and then make a choice and say, I'm going to ballistically interrupt, my brain and go at it. It seems like it's a modern phenomenon. And I have this as a Gen Xer. I have this, I don't know, I don't want to blame generations on it, but I'm just like, oi, another gym to go to. Like, I got to go to the supermarket. I got to get the passwords for my kids at their, school website. And now I got to like go do a ballistic intervention on my gray matter. Oi, what's going on here? But I guess A, is that even accurate? And B, it's just part of the being modern, being in the modern world.
It is, at every point, Seth, you raise a perfect point. At every point when there's this industrial revolution and there's this massive change, people panic. People always panic. I'll give you a great example. Think about when Alexander Graham Bell invented the telephone. People thought he was nuts. And It took 50 years for people to be comfortable with the idea of a telephone in their home. And most people don't know this. The reason they were uncomfortable is because they didn't understand it. Two, he started spouting and saying, wait, there's going to be a battery, there's going to be a receiver. This receiver is going to magically convert sound waves, and the other person on the other hand is going to hear you. Do you know what people thought? They thought that there were demons in telephones.
Yeah, probably.
And they were terrified. They were terrified, and they were like, I don't care how cheap it is. I do not want this phone in my house. So at every point in human existence, whether it was the wheel, whether it was fire, whether it was the telephone, whether today it's artificial intelligence, guess what humans do? We panic. We are fearful, and we react this way. So one, you're right. It's totally natural to think, oh my gosh, this is chaos. I already have too much on my plate. I'm not a neuroscientist. I'm not going to, go and spend many years of my life like Sarah in a lab dissecting brains. But number two, it is possible. And I'm going to give you two examples of how the everyday person who has to navigate the chaos that is life. And, as parents, we have even more things to keep track of, not just our own stuff, all of our children's stuff, they outsource to us. And I'm a parent of a teenager, so I feel like I have too much stuff that is not mine. So the two things that people can do, I'm going to give you two of the best examples that I have seen work in my research. And everybody, if you're an accountant, if you're a lawyer, if you are in retail, if you're a secretary, whatever you do. Number one, when you get up in the morning and you get dressed, most of us put on socks. And most of us tend to put on socks that match. I challenge you, for the next 30 days, deliberately wear mismatched socks on purpose. It's a small thing. And the reason I tell you to do this is because your brain tends to go into default mode for the things you do every day. That's why when you're driving home, get your kids and you drive home, you probably sometimes forget how you even got from point A to point B.
Or you drive right by you, or you drive past your exit sometimes.
Because your brain, believe it or not, is lazy. Your brain was designed to focus on efficiency and using the littlest amount of resources to achieve the most amount of outcomes. It's designed that way. That's how we survived for all these years, by being lazy. And so number one, I challenge you, do something that is so far outside of your comfort zone. It could be, you drive the same way to work every day. Challenge yourself for 30 days. Drive a different way. You wear the
Yeah.
same colored socks, change your socks. The point is that you are actually building new neural circuitry, and it's called priming. And so when you start your day already priming yourself to navigate change, when you get to the office, when you get to your place of work, or whenever you jump into the activities of your day, your brain is already wired for change because you challenged it, because you interrupted the circuitry of patterns and habits at the onset. So that's one example that
Yeah.
do it for 30 days. I promise you, you will be shocked at how much easier it is for you to learn new things. Are you going to try it?
I am. I'm just thinking of my daughters and how they're going to have fun with it, but it's okay.
Yes. Number two, your daughters will really have fun with this. Now, I spoke about this to a military organization recently, and everybody was just, we're not sure if we want to do this in our office. Should we really, that's chaos, Sarah. Are you sure? And I said, I challenge you, do this and see what happens. And this was a group of people in the military. So I was curious to see if they were going to listen to me, if they were going to take orders from me. And they did. They went into their office space, and you can do this in your house or you can do this in an organization. Once a week, go into your kitchen and move your utensils from where they are. Take them and put them in a different place. It will drive you crazy.
Yes.
It will just annoy everyone. And you'll notice you're like, I keep going back to the old drawer. That's where the forks are. All of a sudden, the forks are not there. When you rearrange spaces in a functional way, you challenge your brain again with the neural priming. I also say to people, when your kids, you have kids, I have kids, when they go back to school, did you ever notice after summer break, they're kind of like not as smart as they were before summer break? That tends to happen. Because when you're not using your brain cells, your brain goes through pruning. It actually cleans house. It says, well, we're not using these. We don't need them. We're going to get rid of them. And so in the same way, when your kids go back to school, I challenge you, the week before they go back to school, task them with rearranging their bedroom. Move everything around. And
My
when
wife
you
will
do
like
that, it's a fun thing for redecorators, but it's also a fun thing for parents. Children, on average, when they go back to school, there's a reason that it takes them a month or two to get back in the swing of things. Because they've spent 8 to 10 weeks of summer going through neural pruning, and hopefully you're putting them in summer camp and you're keeping them active. Worst case scenario, they're playing Fortnite for 10 weeks. You want to architect an environment in your home, in your office, in your children's lives, in your lives, where the change in the environment is priming them for the changes they're going to navigate in life. And this is what I call brain alignment. It's aligning our brains and aligning our environments and preparing us for learning, for change, for innovation, and to be resilient at the end of the day. And that, I think, is what we all want. We want to be more resilient.
No, I mean, Sarah, those are some really great practical socks, the kitchen, understanding when the brain is pruning. I gather that happens if you're laid off and you're not working for a while. The brain prunes a little auto prune, which is not the same as auto tune on audio. But, those are really great practical applications. And this is why our subscribers come to our podcast, our viewers, our listeners. Great, great content. Thank you for being here. Comment in where it is that you're struggling or where it is that you've had success in doing some rewiring or pruning or building bridges or some things that you do on your own that have able, to rewire your brain. And we'd appreciate that and share it with everybody because speakers like Sarah that come on our podcast make a difference. This is totally relevant and totally practical